Welcome to the Win, Make, Give podcast. This is Ben Kinney, joined with Chad Himes and Bob Stewart. Say something good.
I have nothing. I got
right
nothing good for you today, Ben. But I think when we're done, I'll have something good.
Chad?
I'm with him. That's a great answer, Bob. You're my good right now.
All right.
You know why I said that? Because I just got done listening to a friend of the Win, Make, Give podcast. You know who that is, Chad?
That'd be Clint Swindoll's new podcast, Tell Me Something Good.
Such a good podcast, such a great episode. So thank you, Clint, for releasing that great content. I took a lot of takeaways, but let's get back on task here, ladies and gentlemen. What we're going to talk about today is if you work at a business and maybe you have some influence, or you own your own business, or potentially you're thinking about starting your business, you got to start with a solid foundation. Now, what does a foundation for a house do, Chad?
Give you something you can build upon.
Yeah. Stronger the foundation, stronger the house, right? The stronger and the higher the house can be built. Okay. So what's the foundation of a business? There's a million things that kind of come into making a business awesome. But today what we're going to talk about is coming up with a business's mission, vision, and values. And then at the end, Chad's going to play a game of Stump the Chumps when he reads off some common mission and vision statements from other companies, and Bob and Ben will square off in a deadly duel of who knows what company. So Chad, no cheating. No,
I will not text Bob the answers while we're recording.
No loaded questions. You can't just do basketball teams. You have to make this somewhat fair. So, starting, Bob Stewart, what's a mission statement?
Ben, a mission statement is basically your reason for existing.
Yeah, not even basically. Your mission statement is your reason for existing. It's created to represent what's going on in your business right now. What do you do and where do you do it? I've been confused my entire career on what's the difference between a mission and a vision statement. So I came up with my own standards, and I did it from doing a whole lot of research. You don't have to follow mine, but I'm just going to tell you a few things about how I differentiate between a mission and a vision statement for a company. Number one, a mission statement is an external statement. It's something you hang on the walls, Bob. It's something for your customers to see. A mission statement should answer a specific set of questions. Number one, Chad, what does your company do? Specifically, do you make widgets? Do you provide some service, right? Who does it do it for? Where does your company serve? What type of business is it? How does it do it? How do you broadly describe your product or your service? And at the end, it should answer, as Bob started us out, why does your company exist? So think about an external statement being a mission statement. And I've always liked to explain a mission statement as something you could yell from the rooftop. Imagine that your mission statement was 2 or 3 sentences long, Chad, and somebody was saying, their mission is to provide heating and electrical services for single-family residences across the counties of Snohomish, King, Pierce, blah, 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 blah.
Now get on the rooftops and scream that out.
Right? You're like, my mission is to blah, 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 blah. And you're pretty soon like you run out of breath because you don't got the lungs for it. What if it was simpler? Let's think about an example for the real estate industry because it's easy for me to think of because I wrote it for one of my own companies. What is it that a real estate brokerage or a real estate sales business provides? Like the technical thing, Bob, is they help people buy and sell real estate. But what does it really do? What it really does is it helps people experience home ownership. It's one of the greatest things about our country is our country, we're allowed to own real estate. In fact, if you go back historically and you think about like, why did people paddle across the Atlantic Ocean? You know, what is that in the Nina?
In the Santa Maria?
Yeah, all those. They're sailing and paddling like crazy, right? And they come over here because in the United States, they were promised life, liberty,
The pursuit of happiness, which was generally around the idea of land ownership.
that you could own, right? That you could own real estate. But back in these countries where they left, a lot of them, Chad, they were tenant farmers. Do you know what a tenant farmer is?
They didn't own the land that they worked on.
So basically, I'm going to grow a whole bunch of carrots,
Yep.
and I'm going to give you half of my carrots because I don't even own the land.
Right.
So they worked hard all year, and they were taxed, and their proceeds were taken probably to a massive extent of what they created, right? They never got ahead. So people came to the United States for a dream of life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness. So I thought about that when making the mission statement of one of our first companies. And I said, isn't what we do simple? Don't we deliver the dream of home ownership? Isn't that what we do? We help people, right? And I had to ask the question, well, where do we do it? In the beginning, it was in this one state, in the state of Washington. But over time, it's grown into multiple countries and multiple states. So we modified our mission statement to say, delivering the dream of home ownership everywhere.
Nice.
That's where we do it. It's very simple. What do? We help people with home ownership. Very simple, right? Why? Because it's a dream of people. Where do you do it? Everywhere. You understand how this mission statement is clear and how if you were up on the rooftop, you could yell, what do? I deliver the dream of home ownership everywhere.
I wish you were all in the room watching as he just did that. It sounds almost like an elevator pitch. I mean, people have heard that term before, except you're saying make it to a point we could shout it from the rooftop before we ran out of breath.
Yeah.
We're not looking to make this a paragraph.
Yeah.
Okay.
The interesting thing about that, Ben, like as I look at the questions you said this needs to answer, right? There was a number of questions in there. It was like 5 or 6 questions. And as you're thinking about like, oh my goodness, that's going to end up being 2 or 3 sentences. But you really distilled this thing down to the absolute essence that there's not a wasted word in there. There's not there's no fluff or extra, or you don't feel like you need to say, the obvious things like, through awesome customer service, or like it's just distilled down to the very essence of what you do.
It fits on a t-shirt. It's something that you could yell from the rooftop. The number one problem I see in other people's mission statements, they add a bunch of unnecessary words, a bunch of fluff. You ever been to a restaurant and there was a sign hanging outside that said good food? Right? Like
As opposed to,
I drove by a hotel on my road trip this summer that said clean beds. Like I just always assumed that was a given, right?
That's their mission.
I'm completely questioning
Every other hotel
the type
or
of
that one?
hotels I stay at right now, right?
You're right. And Ben, some of the mission statements are not short, yet they should be. Because I'm going to read you a mission statement. Here we go. Mission statement number 1. Let's see who can get the answer to this one. It's not a short one. So feel free to wait until the end to buzz in, and then we can discuss that. The mission of this company is to entertain, inform, and inspire people around the globe through the power of unparalleled storytelling, reflecting the iconic brands, creative minds, and innovative technologies that make ours the world's premier entertainment company. Anybody want to take a guess who it is?
I'd guess Disney, I'd guess Netflix. I don't know.
Ben?
Those are probably pretty solid guesses.
They are, and it was a layup for Bob. It was Disney, knowing that he goes there way too often with his family.
Wow, that's
a
surprising to me.
long.
But think of the problem with that. Do you think any employee there could recite the 474 words
No.
of what that company's mission statement is?
I can't even recite it, and I just heard it. Like,
Right. And I have to read it.
It's too complicated, right? If I could ask Bob, like, what does Disney do for you? And because Bob is like the massive Disney fan, like, what does Disney do for you and your family?
It delivers magical experiences.
Yeah. I mean, that.
If you said that, it was either Disney or Penn and Teller right there. You just narrowed it down for me.
Disney, if you're listening, there'll be a $999,000 charge for that mission statement that you'd pay somebody else millions of dollars. Bob Stewart just gave it right to you right there, and it was
delivering magical experiences. Like, that's what I associate with Disney is the experience that we have. And the magical is, everybody knows what that is, the Magic Kingdom. I don't know.
And for the Who, I might have just added in there for children of all ages or something along those lines, because that really sums up Disney now when it really comes to it.
Let's think of a different one. Zappos, best known for selling shoes online, right? But if you read about them, what are they known for?
Customer service.
Yeah, customer service. So their mission statement was provide the best customer service possible. Now, the only reason that works for them is because so many people already know what they do. They don't have to say it, but that is their mission. Like they happen to sell shoes, but they do it through amazing service.
I had the pleasure of having one of my offices right next door to Zappos for years. So we would go over all the time and see their facilities and their systems. And you're right, they did. I mean, they had contests to see who could actually stay on the phone the longest helping customers. And they would have people bringing food to their phone people so they didn't have to stop helping customers. You're right. They provide customer service at such a level that does make sense for them.
What does Microsoft say they want to accomplish?
It's enable people and businesses to realize their full potential.
Yeah, that's pretty simple. But what they're really saying is through technology, through their software, through what they provide. But so many people know what Microsoft does, they don't have to say it. But most of us that are launching and starting a business, or we have a small business or a regional business, we kind of have to say what we do. Because Google's was what?
Organize the world's information and make it universally accessible and useful.
And
that's absolutely Google. I mean, as soon as you hear information, you got to guess that that's Google.
Yeah, and make it accessible and useful. They have the phrase Google it. It's now a verb, right? Yeah. So a mission statement for you needs to be simple, concise, cut the words in half. Think about it as something you could put on a t-shirt that answers very simply, what do you do? Who do you do it for? And where do you do it? The second part of this foundation of a business is coming up with a vision statement. So there's so many varying opinions on what a vision and what a mission should be. Here's what I decided, and follow me if you want, right? But there's probably a cliff, so just follow me carefully. A vision statement is a future state. It answers who, what, where, and why. But I believe that a vision statement could be truly an internal statement. It's something that you talk about with your employees. It's something you talk about with people that you're recruiting. It's something you talk about with your vendors, with your bankers. It's explaining, like, what is your purpose?
So what I'm hearing from you, Ben, is the mission statement is now
and external,
where the vision statement is future and internal.
Yeah.
So we're talking to our people in our world saying, this is who we want to become. That's our vision. Whereas our mission is, this is who we are, everybody, right now.
Yeah. What did Jack Welch say about a vision?
Jack says that business leaders create a vision, articulate the vision, and relentlessly drive it to completion. And I think it's great that we're grabbing a quote from Jack, because we just back in episode 33 or 36, somewhere in there, we just did a great episode about Jack Welch. So why else, who better to quote at this time?
This is important. What Jack Welch says is extremely important. Business leaders create a vision. They decide what is the vision of a company. They articulate it, they explain it, and then they relentlessly drive it to completion. Every time you start a meeting with me, Bob, you start a company training, you're at state of the company, you see me do an internal thing, I start with, this is why we do it, this is what we do. In fact, the vision statement for our companies, you guys may recognize this phrase, but the vision statement of our companies, the collection of software and real estate and mortgage and title and all the different things that we do, is all very simple. It's an internal statement. It's what I use to attract people. to retain people and to explain why we do it. It's because we want to win. We want to be number one at whatever we attempt to do. Number two, we want to not make money for the company. We want to make our employees and our partners wealthy. Number three, give. We want to give back, and we know that the way to do that is by helping our employees and our partners and our companies have excess capital and excess time to contribute back to the world, because lastly, we want to do good. There's a sign hanging in my office that says, work hard and be kind. That is the philosophy, like a value of our company, but our vision is clear. We want to win, make, give, and do good. And do good, right? And that's hung on the walls, and it's put on t-shirts, and it's on signs, and it's on stickers. It's everywhere. What do? We win.
We make.
We give.
And we
do good.
That's right. Now, let's think about some other companies' vision statements. Bob, what's Disney's vision statement?
Disney, they make people happy.
Much closer to your kind of mission, right?
Yep.
You know, what's funny is that these mission vision statements, they change over time. They used to be, about what are you going to do? We're going to go out there and win. In fact, it was so competitive that Honda's vision statement, an internal statement really, right?
Yeah,
this is how you know, is between them and their employees. Chad, Honda's vision statement in the 70s was what?
Destroy Yamaha.
And Bob, Nike's vision statement in the 60s was what?
Crush Adidas.
Yes.
Yeah, they got camaraderie
Yep.
amongst their employees and their people by saying, who are we out to be, right? Simon Sinek in his new book said, you have to pick your worthy rival. Pick your worthy rival. Give your employees somebody to go beat, right?
So at the same time, though, you're saying worthy rival. Honda and Nike in this example probably respected Yamaha and Adidas as a worthy rival and said they're worth going after.
I'm going to guess those at that point, Adidas was
They were number
more
one.
popular than Nike, right? Like
Sure.
you don't decide you want to crush number two. Like you're looking ahead at the guy in front of you.
Yeah. Well, what's funny is that once you get there, you change your perspective a little bit, because Nike today, Bob Stewart, what's Nike's vision statement today?
Be the number one athletic company in the world.
Where do they do it?
In the world. Like
What do they do?
they're an athletic company.
Yeah, right? What's their goal?
Be number one.
Be number one. It's pretty simple, right? It's very clear. If you walk around Nike, what their internal vision statement is, right? And when you think about the difference between a mission and a vision, like, does it matter to the customers that are buying Nike products if Nike is number one or not?
No.
No. Does it matter to Honda customers if they destroyed Yamaha or not?
Nope.
No, but it mattered to the company.
Yeah.
It mattered to their finances, to their raises. It mattered to their employees, right? That's how you know that it's an internal statement. It's an internal statement.
Okay, so we've got the mission being external. We've got the vision being internal. What's the third piece of the mission, vision?
Values. Values is how you make decisions in your business every day. Let's talk a little bit about the values of our company, because we did something fun. I took a word that matters a lot to me, and ironically enough, something that I struggle with. My entire life, I've struggled in some manner with my health, whether it's joint pain or autoimmune stuff or childhood issues.
Or me just abusing you about it.
Or Chad beating me up about it, right? All of those things, I've struggled with health. And I wanted to keep that word in front of me. So I decided that the success of our businesses would be determined by our ability to maintain our health. And what I did was I chose those letters very carefully, and I assigned each letter of the word health as a value of our company. Number one, H. What's it mean?
Hard work.
Hard work, meaning that I only want to be in business with people that are willing to work hard. Not a ton of hours, but when we're here, we're all in. I value hard workers. I appreciate hard workers. I like being around hard workers. I despise being around lazy people, people that take shortcuts, people that don't finish the job. I want to be around hard workers. So when somebody interviews with us and I could say, are you a hard worker? Give me an example of a time that you worked hard. How hard are you willing to work? Not hours. While you're here, what are you going to do? Give me an example. They're real clear. There's no lack of clarity around hard work in my world. E, what's that mean, Chad?
Extraordinary results.
John Maxwell, leadership author, said, systems make the ordinary extraordinary. We talked to a gentleman, a fantastic business leader in our area. His name is Paul, and he started a company called FastCap, and a very interesting and cool story. Well, Paul said that the employee's job is not to make the widget or create the thing or provide the service. The employee gets paid for one thing: to improve the process. How do you do that? You get extraordinary results through systems. I want to be in business with people that get extraordinary results by creating, maintaining, and following models and systems. When you work in our company, there's a list for everything. There's an acronym, there's a special word, right? There's a phrase, or there's a quote, because that's a model and that's a system. Bob, what's the A stand for?
Accountable in all things.
Meaning I only want to work with somebody who's accountable. So when somebody comes in here and they interview for an opportunity in our company, I'll say accountable is a massively important word to me. I want somebody that's accountable in all ways. You're an accountable father, Bob, and a spouse, and a leader, and an employee, and a contributor, and a friend. I want somebody that understands that the lack of accounting means the lack of accountability, that they are going to track their activities and their results, that they are going to work with a clear sense of priority, somebody that understands that success is working on priorities in the right order. Only want to be in business with an accountable person. So if Bob was interviewing, I'd say, Bob, give me an example of a time that you were accountable. Give me an example of a time you weren't accountable. What'd you do about it? What do you struggle with most when it comes to accountability? How do you feel about being held accountable? Not because I want to spend my time holding people accountable. I actually won't do that. I've always found it's easier to hire accountable people than it is to try to hold people accountable.
All of these things, but before you go on to L, these things are all things that you're hiring towards, right? You're hiring towards hard workers. You're hiring towards extraordinary results. You're hiring towards accountability in all things because these are our values, right?
Yep.
You got to have these things to join our organization.
Yep. What's L?
Leaders only.
Leaders only. It's an interesting philosophy because I want to be in business with people that want to be promoted. So you aren't hiring somebody for the job that they take. You're hiring somebody for the positions they could hold in the future. And that's a big statement and a big thought right there. So many times people bring people into the organization that have no capacity to lead or to grow, and you're always churning out people. I'm looking for people in every interview that could take over my job. And the only way to do that is you have to be a leader and you have to be willing to invest in your leadership skills. Next, Chad, T.
T is teamwork, Ben.
I only want to be in business with people that think about the greater good, not about themselves. I like winners, but I want somebody that wants to win only if the whole company could win. And it's important. Talk to me about a time that you've been a team player. How does teamwork show up in your life? What type of teams have you been on? I've had a lot of amazing performers that weren't team players, and I would actually rather not have them. I'd rather have a bunch of B players that work together because their mass and their momentum will far outperform one star player. Like you think about the difference between having, a Michael Jordan on your team or having 5 awesome players. That can make the difference between winning, not that one star player.
I'm still taking Michael in that situation, though, Ben. Sorry.
Well, I don't know, Chad, if we want to get for years, Jordan didn't have Pippen and Rodman and these guys, right? He was the best player in the NBA, surrounded by a bunch of guys that weren't. And he got beat by teams like the Pistons, who were really just a great team of more average guys compared to a guy like Jordan. Now, eventually he would get Pippen and Rodman and these guys, right? And now he's got a bunch of guys around him and a team, and he's the star player, and they go a little bit further, but
Lastly, Bob,
humble.
H for humble. We want to be around winners who give a lot, who win often, but they don't need to brag about it. We can brag about it inside our walls here and talk about what we accomplished, but we don't need to advertise it outside. So the success of our businesses will be determined by our ability to maintain our health. Health, hard work, extraordinary results, accountable, leaders only, teamwork, and humble. When you add up those three things, that's our mission, vision, and values for my companies. Now, your challenge is to go out and create yours by doing research, reading about others, and following this little bit of advice that we gave you today. Chad, what are you thinking?
Well, here's what I'm thinking, Ben, and I love always the lessons that you're sharing with us. And what I want to remind everybody listening is not everybody owns their own business. Not everybody's even starting a business. You can still have a mission, vision, and values for your family. You can create that. My wife and I created mission, vision, and values for our family as well when we first started. So it doesn't just have to be a business. For those of you listening, Ben gave us his business, and he's given us business examples because, well, they're more well known to everybody. Yet I'm going to challenge everybody out there, Ben, while they're putting together their mission, the external statement, the vision, the internal statement, and the value, which are those things that you're determining how you succeed. It's almost your decision-making tree for the people and the systems of your team. I'm going to challenge you not just to do your business. I'm going to challenge you to take a time and do it for your family. Bob, have you thought about sitting down with your wife and building that mission, vision, values to have the boys grow up into?
I think it's one of those things where maybe like your finances, you just kind of loosely look at it, right? You don't ever really focus and take the time to develop it and put it on paper and put it in front of you and make it a really, make it clear, to provide any clarity to it, right? So no, I mean, I think we're instilling certain values in our kids, and we know that we've got things that we want to do in our life, but no, I don't think that we've sat down and clearly developed those things so that they become a priority and just a focus.
Imagine what would happen if you had those values for the Stewart family hanging on the wall.
Yeah.
So the kids were seeing them, just like Ben brings them up before every meeting that he's got with the company. It's like going to the sporting event. You're going to do the national anthem before it gets started. Ben's going to start his meetings for his company with the mission, vision, and the values for everybody there. Why not do it at home and help our house grow into that mission, vision, and value world?
Yeah, we should all use our last names. So
yeah, what a challenge.
You can make a word thing with your last name. Like you tell your boys, this is what Stewart stands for.
Yeah.
The bad part is that my last name's Kinney, and there's very few good words that start with K, except for kinky, kind.
We have a killer instinct.
Killer.
In this family, we got a killer instinct.
Kiss my rear.
All right. Let's pull this back before you get where you're going, and let's throw some mission statements at the two of you and see if you can guess what company's mission statement is to accelerate the world's transition to sustainable energy.
Tesla.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tesla.
Wow.
Ben for one, ladies and gentlemen. Ben for one.
I mean, do I get half a point for Disney earlier? I get a half a point.
I'm giving
right?
Bob half for Disney because he rewrote
I got to go
theirs.
first.
He guessed it, yet he rewrote it. Okay, here's another one for you. We'll just give you one more here, and it's serve customers through online and physical stores and focus on selection, price, and convenience.
I was going to say Amazon until you said physical stores. Amazon?
That is Amazon because they
Oh,
have open physical stores.
Yeah, and they bought Whole Foods or whatever. Yeah, okay.
What
Amazon.
else you got? Keep going.
One to
fun.
one.
I'll give you another one. All right. To refresh the world.
Febreze?
No, probably a good guess.
To refresh the
To
world.
refresh the world.
Gosh, I don't know. That company isn't doing a good job because we don't know.
Well, when I tell you, you'll be like, oh, that makes sense. Coca-Cola.
Oh, like refreshing.
Yes.
Yeah,
We're
well,
both
that makes
sitting here with
sense.
a
That
Diet
makes
Coke,
sense.
But
Yeah.
wait,
You
if
both have
that's
your
their
Diet Coke
mission,
in
how
front
come
of
it's
you, right?
not on their bottle somewhere?
Interesting. All right. How about we ignite opportunity by setting the world in motion?
Opportunity by setting the
I'm
world
sure our
in
audience is
motion.
yelling and screaming this one at you. We ignite opportunity by setting the world in motion.
Peloton?
No. Very good guess, though,
Dang
Ben. I
it.
should have had theirs ready to go.
What else you got? Keep going.
Well, you got to figure this one out still, gentlemen. It's Uber.
Of course
Oh.
it is.
To save people money so they can live better.
Walmart?
Very good. Walmart.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not sure what the count is, but I feel like I'm winning.
This company strives to be the global leader in the sporting goods industry with brands built on passion for sports and a sporting lifestyle.
Not Dick's. What's the other sporting?
Adidas?
Adidas, very good.
Oh, I
the company
got that one.
that
Yeah.
the company that Nike wanted
Did
to
you just
crush.
flash him a sign on that
I
one?
did
Is there some
not
cheating
flash
going
him a
over there?
sign
I don't
on
know.
that
I
one.
thought I saw a sign.
And the last one, here we go. I'll give you one more.
This is worth 5 points,
Okay,
just
here
so
we go.
Bob can catch
Here we
up.
go.
To bring immersive and challenging workouts into people's lives in an accessible, affordable, efficient way. And yes, Bob jumped in and gave it, but
I feel like I was robbed. I
you
feel
were-
like I
you
was
were.
robbed.
you were
robbed.
intentionally robbed on that one. Bob doesn't even have one. He doesn't really know.
Chad, how do we end all of our calls?
The same way we always do, folks. And we want you to take a moment and subscribe to the podcast. We want you to give us a rating and a review if you're enjoying the Win, Make, Give podcast. And we challenge you to share it with somebody. That's right. Just ask them to text the word podcast to 59559. One more time. All they have to do is text the word podcast to the number 59559, and we'll send them the link so they can also get the Win, Make, Give information for the podcast. Now, we're going to challenge you to join us on Facebook, facebook.com/groups/Win, Make, Give, and jump into the conversation. Until our next episode, we hope you'll remember, wash those hands, and as always, do good.